So hi David. Yeah, I hope maybe somebody will join during my talk, but at least we need to. In any case, I want to document the stuff which we discussed last week with Magento architectural team related to direction, how we are going with implementation, the asynchronous import module, and I also will share some updates about this one, and also I worked on a backlog a little bit today. So made some rearrangement of the tickets which we already have, so I just will give an overview status there. Then I will start. Hope you see my screen.
Yeah.
So I will start with update related to the API changes. I made here the update of our folder inside of the Magento architectural repository, and you already saw that was a pull request which emerged yesterday. So what we decided to do before, we had all mappings defined on a step when you upload the new file before import. And then you run an import only by using the UID, and you already don't care about the mapping because mapping is already saved. During development, we faced multiple problems with that, and after discussing the use cases with Alex Polaris, we decided to remove mapping from the step of uploading the source and move it to the step when you start an import. Then you have a possibilities basically to define your imports on this step, to change some variable if you want to change it. Yep, and that's basically the idea. And you can also then run the same file by using the different import, like different mappings, which is advantage. And one more, we want to add a support when you can run the same file for different objects. So we have one file where you have products, for example, and then you have some product links, or you want to update stock separately because Magento has a stock endpoints to use. And then with this approach, you can just upload one file, and then you can run different imports with the same file. Let's say this symbol is for categories, this for product, this for stock, this for links. And you can run them separately if you want to do this separately. So also like service isolation inside of the async import itself, or like import isolation. Let's call it import isolation. So yeah, so that's basically the changes which I made. I just removed the mapping from the endpoints here and moved it inside of the import start. Also from import start, we removed type from a URL because we still have a lot of key attributes to run an import. So we basically just moved it here to the inside of the body. There was not so big sense to have it as a URL parameter because then you still have to define the strategy and some other parameters. So basically, why not to do it inside of the body? And we deal that we will go for this decision. And what is new here in this, by the way, approach is that the mapping, which I copied from an old one, we changed a little bit the names of the tags here, which is self-explanatory, but yeah, just like more nice names. And we added here processor rules, which was not there before. That basically will tell you how to process one or another attribute. So you can use here, for example, in a function, string replace or substring, or make it lowercase, or even define your own rule, which I'll show a bit later how it can be configured, and put it here. Let's say we had here like example function for add custom attribute, because you cannot easily map the custom attributes by target path and target value because it's quite complex. It's contained from a label and a value on a like attribute codec and a value, and it's then going like an array. So it's not too easy to collect it with to create it with a target path and target and source path, for example. So in any case, there will be a list of functions which you can define. That will be predefined. Also, you can create a new one if you want to. Yeah. Yeah, that's all for now for this update. If you have any questions right now, you can ask them, or I'll jump to the next one. Good. So what about extension itself? So import service module will have a 3 XML configuration files. It's basically, you can have an analog as a Magento queuing system, which has 4. We have 3, so we are better. We have the main one. Let's try its import service itself. Wait, 1, 2, 3. That's a prototype. Yeah, we have import service itself, which defining the import types. Let's say in our case, that's an object which you want to import. That's a, let's say, product catalog. Then you define the import strategy. Let's say, like we're talking about standard Magento import, we have add update, we have replace, and we have delete functions, or like methods. So here you're defining the method for this catalog product, add update, delete, replace. Theoretically, I don't know, if you want, you can make even add links there or update stock. So that's also up to you, like developer, you can do it. As predefined, we're now focusing on the standard import functionality, so we have those 3. Where we have default mapping, that I will talk a little bit later for that. And we have a processor. That's basically a processor which is doing our requests. So it's taking the data, prepare data for import. So we'll have an interface defined for that. And then just execute the method and send it to the Magento monolith in this case. Or if it's installed with, tell me, if it's installed with Magento itself, it will just do request to Magento itself. Here you define the method which you want to execute is put, post, delete, page, whatever you want, and then an endpoint. By default, we will use bulk API for those managing. So in this case, it's already a responsibility of the implemented processor how to manage. So it will get the array of all data which you want to import. And in this case, if you're talking about bulk endpoint, it will combine them in an array and then use a bulk with one call. Or if we as developer want to use it synchronous way, then we're removing those stuff, like we define a new processor, removing the endpoint, and then on implementation of this processor, it's already our responsibility to tell, okay, we will do it in for each, let's say, 1 by 1. That's up to us, so we just will have two new arguments here, which will do the stuff. The same, let's say, for delete. And one more feature we provided is to combine the previous ones. So let's say for replace strategy, we first do delete, then add update. And for do not duplicate the configuration multiple times, we just provided here check like execute. So it will basically then execute another strategy. So first it will execute delete strategy, and then it will execute add update strategy. That's how it will work. In addition, we have here 2 parameters. It's a storage and it's a default mapping. If you go to default mapping, we have another XML for mappings separately. It's here. Here we're defining the mappings for our processes, basically. That's the same mapping as you can define with your endpoints here. I'm not here, for example, here. The same mapping, but if you don't want to define it, if you want to use standard Magento, you just not do anything. You just execute catalog product endpoint for add update, and it will jump and will find that product CSV add, let's say, will do this mapping. You also, so we have, for example, that's a default one, which that's only prototype, it's not all attribute sets, only 2 here. Let's say SKU and a name. So it will map it by this one. It will take the column from CSV file, the column with label, like with name SKU will be mapped to product SKU in JSON of Magento. Also, you can add your own mapping. That's trying to remember the use case. Yeah, we have, for example, delete endpoint. For delete endpoint, we are not collecting the full product objects. We have only SKU nodes inside. For bulk API, I'm talking for bulk API, for example. For the not redefine the full mapping, we can just on top, let's say, make their own map and can use a parent like product CSV update. That's just like an example here. But I mean, that's an idea that you can define the mapping based on some mapping can just replace several objects and again do not paste the whole mapping object with your endpoints, for example. Or if you're doing for the client, this one for particular client, and you don't want to paste every time the body with an API, you just create an own XML, define your own mapping based on some default one, replacing a couple of fields, and then just run it. And that's about mapping. And one more which we had not here, which we had in our example, it was a storage. That's basically where you will send your products. We have import service storage XML file, which defines the storage name, which is Magento REST, and then we have a class name, which is basically managing the connection to the Magento. In this case, if you want to, so this means with our service, we even can export it to any other system, not only to Magento, which is giving it like more flexibility if you want to use it in different ways. Yeah, that's all about our like fundamental changes in the development. Any questions for now? Good. And what I made today, I worked today on the issues a little bit. I just reorganize them. I close the issues which have to be closed, and added a couple of more which I mentioned during the checking our implementations. We had a pull request for ready storage, which I already told about, which will be reviewed. Basically, nothing too much changed. We still have some issues which are taken by another guys who I hope will process them. Only one is maybe, David, more for you, or basically also for anybody who will join the contributions days, for example. I changed here the label name just to not be confused, so can be used for contribution day. Those tickets are mostly small enough and will be quite easy to implement. And if you will be there, you just sort by them, and then you will see they are mostly none of them are taken by anybody. So just feel free to propose them for the people to grab. Yeah. In any case, for those ones, they have to be quite easy to do. And if somebody has a question, you know where to find me. To kick my ass that I wrote not too good description for the implementation. Wait, let's also switch to pull request just quickly. That was already storage with which I said was implemented by Marian, which will be still reviewed. I still have, by the way, David, this pull request for bulk API performance measures, which we still don't know if we want to merge it or where we're gonna merge it, or just we'll leave it like a pull request. Or maybe we'll do it just like this branch really, and just we'll leave it for there. It's just in this branch, and then we'll document it somewhere. If you wanna, you can just use it. My also idea was, because its only implementation is to add in the couple of new parameters here, like finished it and created it. For the bulk API, maybe we can make this pull request to Magento 2.4 when we will get a branch. Because then we can add new parameters to interfaces. And maybe that's basically the good point, not only for the like performance testing, but in basically for statistics to see when request was created, when it was processed, which is also nice features for end user. Yeah, just we'll leave it here.
Yeah, I'll leave it there just now, and then we can.
Yeah, that's the plan. So yeah, we have a couple of pull requests which are still have to be updated by the creators. This one I assigned to me for the EAV catalog caching. I will run some performance tests to see if it's useful for us. That's the plan. And this one you said that the performance tests are still failed for Web API request processor 2. Honestly,
Yeah.
I have no idea why.
I have
They may fail because I guess you will get
on the payment side.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's exactly the same as here. I just refactor a little bit and hope it helped because I cannot reproduce it locally. If you maybe can you get some support from Magento, like developer guys?
Yeah, I can reach out and get them to have or get someone to have a look at it.
I mean, maybe they just can have a look on a pull request and see directly, okay, that's a bad approach or that's causing this issue. Because honestly, idea of this pull request was the performance improvement. And it's basically had to because I mean, technically had to because in implementation, before it's loaded each object even if it's not used. Now it's using yeah, that's how it works now in the core also. Now as it's using the proxies, it's loading only when it's required to use it, which is theoretically have to give the performance improvement and not the performance degradation. But it is. And I have a feeling it's basically only because of the basically Magento integration of the virtual types, which maybe require, because to archive it, we have to implement the virtual types, then using also the proxy, and I guess also somewhere we use the factories, not sure. And maybe this construction, which then Magento generate those proxies, it's taking more time than when there are no proxies and you just initialize the object, which is small object basically. I have a feeling that that's the case. Can you please ask the Magento guys to have a look? And if it's so, we just will close it then. Then we have no sense in this implementation.
Yeah, I can get someone to have a look at that.
Cool, thanks. Then I guess I'm done for today.
Awesome.
If you have something new?
No, I don't have anything from my side. No, I tried to, and then the VPN stopped working in the heat. So
good. Okay.
Well, I
fine
assume
then.
it's the heat.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, this weather is killing. Good. Then I guess we can round up.
Okay. Cool.
Then see you next week.